Oh, okay. All right, here we
I'm
go.
for live,
We
whatever.
are live. We're still trying to deal with tech. You'd think we'd have it
Got
figured
it.
out by now.
I got it.
All right, perfect. Hey, welcome. It is another episode of Chiropractic is Sexy. I'm Dr. Paula Ruffin.
And I'm Dr. Erica Peabody, and thanks for being here yet again. And, you know, we missed last week and we didn't really reschedule, but the week just got away from both of us pretty quickly along with the holidays. So I'm hoping, and I put it up on my life tip today, it is 1 week from Thanksgiving, and I certainly hope you're still being thankful.
Yes.
All of you for something every day.
Yeah. It's interesting, this whole concept of gratitude. I was listening to that Joe Dispenza video that you sent, that interview. And, he's just so brilliant the way he talks about just our mindset and life and the things that we hang onto and what we ruminate about and stressors. And it really does come down to scientifically gratitude and how gratitude affects us from a molecular, cellular level. So, so giving thanks and being grateful goes far beyond one day. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I always, when I do post about, it's Thankful Thursday, a lot of times I use that on Thursdays or Thirsty Thursday. So drink your water. But if we can look around us and find 5 things we're grateful for, and then close our eyes and find 5 more. And if you can't do that readily, you need to be paying closer attention to your life. So Devil Dog, hi. We need to be more aware of what's around us for sure. So that's always my thing. If it doesn't just roll off your tongue what you're grateful for, we got to really reconsider what we're doing, because gratitude is also a really big part of our health and healing. Like the feelings, the dopamine, the serotonin that's released in the healing chemicals of the body. Gratitude releases those too. So yeah, it's
there's some people and you, I think because you and I are exposed to so many people on any given day, that we all have that one person that comes into our practices, or we know someone that we work with or a family member where nothing's ever good. Nothing's good. And one of my favorite questions to ask people, and to ask those people specifically, because I really want them to flip the script in their head, is I will say, tell me what's good today. And they still can't. They still will answer the question, there's nothing good. I'm like, really? There's nothing good? Wow. Like the sun is shining. You're on this side of the earth. You're here getting your power turned on. Do you have a family that loves you? Like, there are some people that just do not want to see the upside of life, no matter how many opportunities you give them. And these people are sick. I mean, I'm not sick in that. Well, they may have mental illness, but that attitude creates illness deep in the cell. Absolutely. And as much as you can create illness, we keep going back to the guy that we can never remember his name, who watched comedies to heal himself.
Yes.
But we really have to get out of our own way and start to flip the script in our head, move our thoughts, and listen, we're all human. We're going to go into moments of stress. How do you then get yourself out? And the problem is not necessarily going into the stress, but staying there. And what kinds of techniques and things can you do to pull yourself out of that? And you're going to be doing that sometimes, maybe even moment to moment, right? I mean, it depends on what you're going through. So, but it becomes practice and an exercise that if you practice it every single day, you just get better at it. So I think mindset training is really important for all things in life.
Yeah, we were actually speaking to your neighbor on, what night was that? Saturday evening. We were having dinner together. A neighbor popped in, and he was just saying how, there's some simple things that are available at our fingertips that we can use. Now, breath work is one of them, but he was talking specifically about how cold plunging has changed his life. And that he's literally pulled himself out of the drones of life and pulled himself forward to a way, I mean, he's got like a bright future ahead of him anyway, but it was really interesting to listen to his reflection. And the tool that he happened to be using was cold plunge. And I actually saw a portable cold plunge unit. It was like $40. I think I was running around Target, and it was just like this little thing you just blow up, fill with water. But there's also lakes everywhere. There's, so not that you really have to go out and necessarily do cold plunge. I know I could never convince Dr. Paula to do a cold plunge, but it was really interesting
In the
because
middle of summer, you can.
yeah, he created that tool for himself. And now he's done it, used discipline to do it daily. And he's changed his life, and he's literally changed the trajectory of his life and his health all in that one thing, because he was working with, I don't know if I don't know him well enough to really call it addiction. I don't know his history, but when we're headed down a toxic path, that is going to affect our life forevermore. Or we just do maybe one day we started to take 5 deep breaths, and that started to change our life. So gratitude is also one of those things, but when we can start to really shift things, it's really, really powerful, beneficial for now and moving forward. I always go back to that guy that came in and he said, the reason for care, look at this guy's face. Which side is he?
Hello. Hello.
He said he wanted his health expectancy to match his life expectancy. That's
Mm-hmm.
why he was entering under care. And I'll just never forget it. And I really work to sort of lead my life, filter my decisions through that as best as I can every single day, and I think if we plan for our health expectancy to match another 25, 30, 40, maybe 50 years for me, I don't know. We don't know how, when our, our last day, when our card's going to be pulled, but we all are going to have our cards pulled. And so if we can just, be sure we're waking in gratitude and we're steering our life in gratitude. So,
yeah, it's interesting. I have a friend of mine who's going through cancer treatment and who's not real happy about it. And I said, well, I'm gonna send you this this Joe Dispenza interview. And Joe Dispenza, again, he's very much mindset, but it can be a little fringy and woo-woo for a lot of people. But we definitely know. I mean, there's so much science and research behind thoughts and thought patterns and what happens to our cells with particular thought patterns. And I said, this could be a little fringy for you, but I'm like, you have cancer. Like, it's all hands on deck. Like,
right.
I don't care how fringy you think it is. I mean, if that were me, I would be doing all of it. Right.
Absolutely.
So again, if we can just not wait until we're in a crisis, if we could do that now, how would that change our lives? But he also said what was really interesting in that interview, which did you I don't know if you finished listening to it or not.
I finished it, and it was so good. It was like, I almost want to take notes. Like, I want to re-listen to it and take notes, but I sent it to other friends too. And they were like, oh my gosh, thank you for sending that. It was so timely. Like, I've heard that 4 or 5 different times now. So it was really timely. It was Lewis Howes as well.
What's that?
Lewis Howes,
yeah.
Which is the School of Greatness. So.
Yeah. And he did an interview with him last year as well. And I've heard Joe Dispenza speak, I search him out to listen to him. Yep. But for some reason, whenever he's with Lewis Howes, there is some kind of like magic that happens between the two of them. And, but one of the things that he said though, because Lewis Howes said when 80% of things in your life are going really well and you want more, why is it so hard to change then? And he said, so there was something, and I don't remember exactly how he put it, but something about human nature. Crisis is really the impetus for change, where we get in this comfortable space in that 80% zone. And so, what is really going to motivate you to continually move your life through that, that scale of greatness? And so I thought that was really interesting that, most people won't make change unless there's a crisis. And again, much like my neighbor had this realization and then also connected it to cold plunge makes him it makes him feel like he does not need the crutches to go through life. And I was like, that is amazing.
I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it was something to the effect of, I get in the cold plunge and I get out and I'm new. I'm new.
Mm-hmm.
And that just gives me chills from head to toe. If we can find something, breathwork, meditation, waking up in the morning, like just the fact that the day is new. He's like, I'm new. And when I feel new, then I'm ready to take on the day. And it just has so much more resource from within. And those might not have been his exact words, but so it kind of just rolls into two different topics that I wanted to bring to the forefront today. But one of them, they're like two humongous topics. One of them is earlier today. I had a patient on the table and she is going to go down to Florida after Christmas. And her husband is leaving next week and he's taking the dog, and her dog is literally her sidekick, and she's all concerned, and the dog doesn't do well in the car and blah, blah, blah. She's telling me this story. And then she said, aren't you going down to Florida? Don't you go down to Florida for the holidays? And I said, yeah, I do. Well, are you excited about it? And I said, here's the thing. If I was looking and living in December 23rd rather than today, would you want to be on my table? And it was so interesting because I'm like, how many, not of us, but just in general, when you're out there seeing whoever's listening to this, you're out there seeing your healthcare provider of any sort. Hopefully you have a chiropractor on board. But if you're out there and you are feeling like an afterthought, like this doctor's head is already 2 weeks from, or 3 weeks from now, if this doctor is not really listening to you, I said, would you want to be under my care? I'm taking care of your spine and nervous system. No, of course, I'm looking forward to a reprieve. Of course, that is not where my head is today at all. I said, there is so much between now and then that needs to be done, not only in my practice, but my life. And she said, how do you live like that? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. If I'm looking too far ahead, it's going to be worry, stress, and non-presence anyways, which is exactly what we're talking about now. And then I said, and she's like, but how long have you done that? I'm like, I've been in practice for 20 years and I've been present time consciousness with my patients for 20 years. Yes, we do have personal things that go on in our lives as practitioners, but I want you to look around in your world, not only to your healthcare professionals, but also to your family, to your kids, to your friends, who is with you and how powerful that is. I was listening to a podcast the other day and it was saying something about oxytocin is released after 20 seconds of a hug. And then he went to give somebody a hug and he felt them counting the 20 seconds, which is fine if you have to start at that point. But he said, let's do that again. Now don't count. Now just be present and how different that is. I'm sure you feel the same way, Dr. Paula, which is like, we're here with you here. Like her and I are now here. We're not, lunch is looming and Tater needs to be let out, but like, I'm here, present 100%. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up, that you guys know that we, at least the two of us, live like in it. So
yeah, we have to, and I think there's two sides to that. So yes, if I had a vacation coming up in 2 weeks, I'm certainly looking forward to that. And what that makes me do, though, personally, is it makes me even more present time conscious. So it's like, yeah, I've got this thing and I'm super happy I get to do that, which means then I get to be even more present here. I get to just drive that much harder, give more of myself, because I know that I'm going to then get to rest. But that doesn't mean I let my foot off the gas, the 2 weeks or whatever it is, when you have that thing coming up. And so I think there's two ways, and but too many people are constantly, you're right. they're constantly reaching for that thing and forgetting what's happening right now. And I don't know if this is if I know you'll get this analogy, but there's this guy at yoga, and he goes, so Dr. Erica and I do, it's called vinyasa. It's movement. So there's a lot of movement and breath, and you time your breath with your movement. It's very fluid. There's, it's a beautiful, beautiful practice and movement and breath. And there's a guy, and he is like, literally, if you put the fast forward, if you put the 5x, movement on, that's how he moves through. He's like, he's doing this. Like, and I don't know if he just can't wait to get it over with, but he's missing the in-betweens. Mm-hmm. He's missing the beauty of the transition from one movement to the next. He's missing the beauty of what your body experiences with that consistent breath. And so, I can't practice next to him because it's super distracting, but I always thought about that. I'm like, he's missing the beauty of it. And so again, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's 100 degrees in there. I'm looking forward to the end of class. I'm not going to, but I'm going to be in the moment right here. So even if it's not us putting our hands on people, it's like, what are you doing for yourself? If you go to the gym, are you just like moving your way through because you can't wait to get it over with? If you're working on a project, are you kind of half-assing it because you can't wait to just get it done? So it becomes a conversation about not just what we're giving to other people, but what are you giving to yourself? How do you respect yourself? And are you giving everything? Are you present time conscious with you to squeeze the best out of you in all of the moments alone, right?
I had another patient that she was in yesterday, Wednesday, and she has, you can tell her nose is swollen. She's got 2 black eyes, and she did a face plant. She was trying to help a student get on the bus. She was trying to flag something down, but she said, I was moving so quickly. I was not watching where my feet were landing. And she said, I pushed this cone out of the way. It happened to snap back, and she literally landed and shoved her nose like up, fortunately not up into her brain, but it was like a murder scene and blood. And then I've had 2 other patients recently that one of them was carrying something, walking down a stairwell, and just too much, too fast, too like either had, other things. People are walking around their cell phones, tripping over stuff. And it's like getting back to that present time consciousness is the way where we can keep ourselves safe and we can keep ourselves well, but we can also enjoy a little bit more of, life isn't about the vacations. It's about making magic in the mundane, which is, okay, my alarm went off this morning. Okay, now I got to get up. I got to do, like, life is more mundane than it is the exciting adventures and such like that. And when people have falls like that, or they do something that really, like, you realize how quickly you could change your life just by not being in present time consciousness. So, and I realize that as a healthcare provider, how much present time consciousness is required, obviously, to keep my patients safe, to adjust them well, to love them correctly, care for them correctly, and send them out into the world, hopefully a little bit more present in their world too. So anyway,
yeah, I think it's a lesson everyone, but that goes with mindset too, right? I mean, there's what's her name? Something Araya Mountain Dreamer.
Yep.
And I forgot what the book she wrote, but I just adore it. And one of the line,
it's called The Invitation.
The Invitation, yes.
Yep.
It's the most beautiful thing you could write. It's really, it really resonated. It was probably one of the first personal growth books that I ever read. And one of the lines in there in The Invitation was just stuck with me. And it's like, do you like the company you keep in the quiet moments? And so many people, they cannot get quiet. They cannot sit with themselves. And so that's really challenging for a lot of people. But that's where that love for yourself and that the present time consciousness with you. What do you need? What do you need personally? Where's your level of gratitude for you, for who you are, for where you are in life currently, for, what are you giving future gratitude, which I thought, again, going back to Joe Dispenza, remember what the future has and hold in store for you. And Lewis Howes said, how can you remember something that hasn't happened? And that's right. So you're like, ooh, that's, so it is just something to wrap your brain around. But if you can remember, what gratitude feels like. So if you are striving for something for your future, then wrapping gratitude around the feeling of what will happen in your future is now remembering, oh yes, I'm grateful for here, and then all of these things, and then this thing that is happening to me now, because eventually it will happen, but the more gratitude you wrap around it, the faster you can bring that into your life.
Absolutely. There was it kind of wraps into this too. The other sort of topic that I wanted to bring into this is that if we're all in our human way, that Thanksgiving can get us derailed, and it can get us into, I know for me, I went out really late on a Wednesday night, woke up super tired on Thanksgiving Day, had a great time, then it just kind of like, and then Dr. Paula's daughter made the most ridiculously amazing macaroni and cheese. And it was like, it was so delicious. And so like for me, my life personally,
all from scratch. Let's just say,
so
not
good.
the noodles, but
so
they were also bougie noodles. They weren't just, it wasn't just any noodle, but yeah.
It was so inflammatory for my body. Yeah. I woke up all puffy, but it was so worth it. And the day was amazing. We had so much fun. But what I've done this week is then like doubling down on water, got adjusted. I'll get massage this evening. I was supposed to on Monday, but we had to switch the schedule around. I'm getting to the gym, sauna, red lights, doing all the things extra, because Thanksgiving is just the start of obviously this whole holiday season. And December tends, like I have 2 holiday celebrations just this week, one weekend. It's 1 week after Thanksgiving. We can let ourselves spiral down. However, if you can find yourself wherever you are today, double down on your health right now, this is the greatest launch pad into 2025 that you can have right now. Don't let 5 weeks of inflammation, of partying, of all of that, even if you're celebrating on the weekend, double down during Monday through Thursday, Thursday, Friday. Double down again Sunday morning, get going. Then the following, like, enjoy the celebrations, find your plate filled with as least inflammatory and more nourishing foods as possible. But then during these weeks, double down, and you will launch yourself into the best way to launch yourself into 2025 is get on track right now, because it's just mayhem. It's mayhem from here on out. So I just wanted to bring that up. There was a great entrepreneur in my area that was doing a live about it. And he was like, you know what? This is the time to double down on your business, to double down on your health, to double down on your sleep, to double down on all of it, instead of letting it all go to the wayside. And I'm like, amen to that. And yes, that's exactly what I've been doing.
Well, I did. So Monday's Reset Monday was to that exact point. And I didn't use the term double down, but the analogy is like, okay, there's a race, and the race starts on January 1st, and everybody's at the front line, the starting line. And do you want to be the one standing there when the gun goes off and you start running, or do you want to be coming from behind with a running start? And now the gun goes off and boom, you're already so far ahead of everybody else. And that's where do you succumb to what's happening right now? And I mean, I had a conversation 2 days ago with my patient about her and her husband. And she's like, well, I'm ready to start my detox right now, but my husband wants to wait till the first of the year, but he's been complaining about how bad he feels and his knees are inflamed, his hips and this and that. And she's like, he really, every day he's waking up going, wow, I feel really bad about, like, he feels horrible, but he's still going to put it off another 3 weeks till the beginning of the year. And I guess I don't know, how bad do you need to feel before you can think beyond the fact that I'm going to be faced with all of these parties, because I called it sugar season. It's just sugar season. Let's just call it that. It's sugar and indulgence season. And Dr. Eric and I, we know how to navigate this stuff. We know how to, like, we did a gala. I think we talked about that, but we went to dinner first because we know that gala food may not be the best for us. So we had a good, healthy dinner first, and then we went to the gala. So what are some things that you can be doing so that you don't feel like you're falling down a spiral? So when you show up at these events, you can look at that table and it doesn't even look appetizing to you, because you have to figure out that what you're seeing on that table, like, take that feeling that you have of, I feel really crappy right now, and know that if I eat this, it's going to be even worse. And then it's a harder hole to dig out of. So I think it's really critical to pay attention to, how bad do you really feel, and why does a holiday spread have more power over you than you have over yourself? And so that's really what it comes down to, is how can you be more powerful for you, be more intentional for you, and take care of yourself? Because the holidays are going to come next year too. And then there's going to be Valentine's Day, and then there's spring break. I don't know, we'll throw all the holidays out there. But then another big time that people pay attention to their eating habits is Lent. So I think that's great. But then we go 40 days and then we're like, yay, party's on again. Just because it went 40 days and Lent is over is not a reason for you to just throw all caution to the wind and decide you're never going to, I'm not going to eat healthy again until Lent comes around again. So, get off the hamster wheel and start it now, at least in some capacity. But don't take yourself into a whole lane of destruction and then say on January 1st, I'm going to change things, because
for sure. Well, so, and just speaking about the holidays, so I love my family dearly. I live very, very close to them. And I always say my sister-in-laws, they argue over who's going to host, although one of them has just taken Thanksgiving and ran with it. And they don't trust me to bring very much, so I don't necessarily cook. So,
they don't trust you. Do they not want the healthy stuff? Is that what's happening?
So no, and they're just phenomenal cooks. They put together an awesome spread. So, but what happens is they say, and this is classic, show up anytime after 3:30. We'll eat around 5. We don't eat until 8:30, and pie at 10 p.m. So every year I think about this. I'm like, you try and plan the Thanksgiving day so that you're really hungry at 5 o'clock for dinner. I didn't do that this year. I've done it for years and years and years. And then you're ravishing, just like we were, like you talked about the gala. And so I had a nice helping of eggs around 3 o'clock. And aside, I can't remember what I had, eggs and maybe cheese and maybe a couple crackers or something. But I ate then, because even though I want to put trust in them that dinner will be served at 5, now I know. And it made for such a better day. I wasn't ravishing. I wasn't going for any sugar sitting around. I did bring an artichoke dip with like almond flour crackers. So that was a nice, healthy, hearty, savory, lots of good, healthy fats, because it was built really well. Like, I put it together nicely. So, and then I brought a vegetable tray, even though I wasn't supposed to bring that. It was like, let me just bring this so that it's sitting out anyways. I know the kids will go for it as well. So anyway, it's, but I love that, where everybody's standing on the starting line on January 1st, and you're like coming up from behind, and you're starting at the same point, but man, you have a ton, like, I literally get
momentum
goosebumps when you said that, and then get goosebumps again as I'm just repeating that. Like, that is so powerful and such a great visual. So
Yeah. Get momentum for yourself.
And
Yeah.
both Dr. Paul and I, we are doubling down on like our chiropractic care. I'm going to actually step back from movement for a little while. I do have an injury that I'm working with. And it's so hard for me to step back, but I'm like, let me just step back for like 3 months from the yoga that I'm used to, which is a lot of jumping. Also with yoga, it's super hot room. I have to shift that up a little bit, but it's also like, okay, so because I'm not going to do that stuff, then I need to focus a little bit more on the kitchen. Like I need to, if I'm not going to get what I'm used to, I'm still going to be at the gym. I'm just going to scale it a little differently. But now I have to double down on what I'm putting in my body, which is doubling down on the water and, doing super healthy, clean. I have a super healthy, clean protein powder that I brought into the office now. Like instead of going for something in the middle of the day, can nourish myself along the way, that's how we have to create success. So
yeah, I always have my nutritional powders here. In fact, I just finished one, and then and one of the things that I started doing literally just this week as a way of doubling down, and making sure, it's so easy to say I eat a really healthy diet because I do. But I really wanted to get a better idea of my macros. So I've never counted my macros, and macros are your fats, your carbohydrates, and your proteins. And there's specific percentages. I went on a 40% protein, 30% fat, 30% carbohydrate. And I was under the delusion that I was getting plenty of protein because I do my protein shake. I have a big salad with tons of protein at lunch. I have protein at dinner. I am barely getting half of my protein intake, barely.
Barely.
It is
So then you
crazy.
realize how undernourished you really are.
Yeah. So I'm using the, it's My Fitness Pal. And I've used multiple fitness apps over the years and they all suck. They are really clunky, very difficult to use. This one is super easy. I really like it. You can set it for calories, you can set it for macros, you can set it for nutrients. So yeah, it's been really interesting. So it's showing me that calorically, which is what I thought, calorically, I'm really not even eating the number of calories that, I'm probably not eating enough calories. I'm definitely not getting enough protein. I'm getting way too much fat. The first day I did this, Monday, I overshot my fat by 30 grams. And that was off of 1 teaspoon of peanut butter in my shake, a half a tablespoon of olive oil in my salad. And then I think I had olive oil at dinner. And I'm like, oh my God, that adds up so fast.
So fast. Yeah.
So fast. So what I'm doing, I'm looking at this as, okay, this is my way of doubling down, is to create more awareness for me, thinking that I'm aware. And I have had a wake up call this week that I'm not as aware as I think I am.
Well, let's be honest. So we were at a party. We were at a jewelry party a couple of weeks ago with, I don't know. She in her upper 50s, mid 60. How old's your friend?
Heidi.
Well, I didn't want to say her name, but yeah,
I think she's, I'm gonna say she's probably in her 40s, maybe 50s. I don't even know how old she is. She's in that zone where I think she's probably a lot younger than she actually is because she looks amazing. So
she looks amazing. She just did a bodybuilding competition and her pictures are just inspirational, truly. Yeah. Not that I want to do a bodybuilding competition, but when she's chatting with us about a couple of things, it was like, oh, you know what? We both feel like we do a pretty good job with our nourishment, but what you can track, what you can measure, you can change. And there's some pithy kind of what you track, you can love something. But anyway, you can start to shift your life and your world by just having a little bit of awareness. And so anyway, yeah, it was like, oh, okay. There's a lot of things that are possible in bringing our awareness inside of different scenarios, different situations, different people have different goals. But ultimately it's like, let's not let anything slide right now. Have your weekend celebration, do the thing, but pick and choose off of all of this stuff, here's the thing, all the stuff that we may want right now, just because it's on the table doesn't mean you have to pick it up. It's always going to be available to you. It just so happens to be super convenient.
Right.
But all of that stuff, like if there was, let's just say there was like cookies or something on a table, it was like, just because the cookies are there, that doesn't mean that it's like this weird mind game. Those cookies are always available to us. We live in, with first world problems, which is basically everything's available to us at our fingertips. And if we can just get out of the mindset, I know for me, I was hypoglycemic my whole life, but not really realizing it when I was a kid. So I have this like food scarcity going on. And I know Dr. Paul and I have talked about this with each other. It's like, there's this food scarcity there that doesn't need to be there. Again, just going back to mindset, realizing that all of this stuff is available to us all the time. Pick and choose and be really mindful about what we choose so that we are not annihilating our health right now. It's always available to us, all of that stuff.
That's such a great point.
Everywhere.
You can go out and buy cookies in March. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Can make
the abundance of crap we're surrounded by, right?
Yes.
And my food scarcity has transformed into, I get like food scarcity issues if I don't have healthy food around me, if I don't have healthy options. Like if I'm hungry and I need to eat and the only thing in front of me is something that I would not put in my body, I'm gonna get a little bitchy. So so I always travel with food, and this, I'm like constantly, I'm food prepping. In the summertime, I always have a cooler. I always prep my cooler and then people are like, you brought that huge cooler for the day at the beach? And I'm like, oh yeah, you just wait. And then, a couple hours later, it was like, what do you have in there? Do you have any extra? And I'm like, yeah. But I do that with traveling, because of course, with traveling, you never know. And actually this happened to us. The Delta Sky Club is quite the game changer when you're traveling, because they do have many, many healthy options. So on our way back from North Carolina, and Charlotte's a massive airport. Well, the Delta Sky Club was in the E terminal and we were flying out of the A terminal. And my brother was like, no, let's just go to the one in the A terminal. I mean, it's literally like a 25-minute walk from, one end to the next. But my brother was like, no, let's just go to the A terminal. That way we're near our gate. And we know that that's the smart way to travel anyway. So we get there and the Delta Sky Club was closed. They're renovating it. And so we go into this little diner and I'm like, okay, well, I'll get a couple of eggs and maybe some sausages or something, some kind of protein. And we go and we sit down and we're sitting there for 25 minutes. They got us was a cup of coffee. And then the guy says, oh yeah, they haven't even put the order in yet. So we're like, oh my God. And now we're getting on a 2-hour flight. And I'm like, I'm getting a little hangry. So we go into the little, the store. And we'd been joking about how it's worth it to pay $650 for your American Express that gets you into the Delta Sky Club to get your free meal.
Yeah, exactly.
Because every time you walk into one of these stores, it's $50. So I got like, it was a little like it was like cheese and some salami and it was uncured, which I was like, oh, that was good. And then I got like, what's it, vegetables? I don't know, whatever snack I got was like super worthy. But it was just enough to make sure that I was satiated for the trip, because I can also get a little motion sick in flight. So I don't want to go on there with an empty stomach. So anyway, but that's the thing too. It's like, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to be able to eat that is going to serve me so I don't feel like complete garbage when I get on that plane or even a couple of hours later. So that's where my whole food scarcity comes from, is when I don't have access to good, healthy options, I'm like, I could lose it.
No, I get it. So yeah, it's, present time consciousness, gratitude, and then double down right now and finish your year strong. Make sure you're making it to the office to get adjusted. Keep that going. I had a patient, she went go-karting over the weekend, and she got hit really, really hard. It was like extreme go-karts. And it was like, well, at least inside of that, she'd been adjusted regularly, which just allows for the internal resilience to deal with that. Although she was still super stiff, still super sore, definitely got a whiplash from just go-karting. Like you don't know when the falls are happening. You don't know what's ahead of us. So if we can just be sure that our body is building its internal resilience to manage the annihilation with, chemicals, stresses, the holidays, or falls, trips, slips, falls, however you say it.
Flips, falls, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, anything,
Or,
anywhere.
yeah. I forget what I say too. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Well,
just
and
double down
it's
on
such
that.
a great point, because we talk about this all the time, is that our patients who are regulars, who come in for wellness, and whether it's once a week or once a month, even my once a month people who I'm like, once a month is not enough. I'm just going to declare that. But I'm glad that they at least come once a month, and they're doing something. But these people still have everybody. So your once a monthers, your once a weekers, whatever it is, something's going to happen somewhere along the way, God forbid, but that's just the reality of life. And what we notice is that these people, what the word Dr. Erica used, their resilience, their ability to rebound, their ability to get well and get back on their feet, it's so much faster. We don't have to go through this intensive phase to get people healed and back onto their lives. So this is why we're such huge advocates for wellness chiropractic. So if you're not under chiropractic care, once you're under chiropractic care, we really encourage you to stay there on some level, some consistent level, because when life hits you, and whether it could just be job stress, it could be financial stress, holiday stress, that mental emotional stress can impact your nervous system and your health. As we talked about, it can damage you to the cellular level, and your chiropractic adjustments will help you to stay resilient and heal through that, so it doesn't become a crisis for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I think that's a great place to end.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll see you back here next week.
Sounds good. And I'll see you guys Sunday for Sunday Night Live and Monday for Reset Monday. So thank you all for your comments. And if you like this video, make sure you leave us a comment in the chat. What is, what's your favorite way to protect yourself from the holidays? We really want to know that. What strategies do you use to protect yourself from food, from people, and your mental emotional
internal resilience high?
Exactly. Absolutely. So,
Okay,
all right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for being here. See ya.